Oh boy, man, when life hands you lemons, you just complain about it.
That's what I do.
Welcome to Totally Local, people. Not exactly live this week, but it is Totally Local, podcast about colorful characters and entrepreneurial businesses in and around Monmouth County and Ocean County, the Jersey Shore. This week, we have a wonderful guest, Angelo Gingerelli.
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here.
And as always, my co-host, my cohort, my friend, Leo.
I guess not always.
Not always, but
most days.
Most of the time. Let's just say always.
Yeah.
In spirit. I apologize. I think Mark Zuckerberg shut off social media today. But we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it, and then we're gonna put it back on later.
Nothing seems to be working. I can't get on Instagram to promote the show and tell all of my 8 followers to come watch. I can't get on. No, Facebook is down, but we're still here. We're doing what we do, which is recording our wonderful podcast, Totally Local. And if you are listening to this, then you may already know, but you can follow us on social media. Tell them where.
Well, on Instagram, it's totally_local_podcast. On Facebook, I believe it's just Totally Local Podcast. Just type that in and search it, and then boom, you'll show up, or it'll show up. Our guest, you're Mr. Fifth Round on Instagram, right?
That's me. Yep.
Okay. MR5.
MR the number 5 THRUND.
There you go. We had the pleasure of not maybe meeting you, but enjoying your collaboration with the guys over at Calling the Shots on their Super Duper Bowl.
Yeah, man, it was a great night, wasn't it? Taylor and Steve on a great show, and I was happy to be there.
It was. He had he was a little, he didn't know how it would go, but I would put it in the books as a success. And, I think it's, I honestly would like less sports and more, like, they should just do that, like have people, I don't know if other people would be interested in it, but I was laughing my ass off, so I think it would be fun to do that on a more regular basis.
Yeah, and the one thing they got 100% right was they got a lot of different fan bases together. Like, you guys were there, Comic Book Man people were there, Impractical Jokers people were there. I had a couple, me and Kate Nichols, another local comic, were on our segment together. It kind of just brought together 4 or 5 fan base into one spot, and it just turned out to be a really great, really fun night.
Yeah, and luckily I don't follow the sport ball as people know on here, but luckily it was a horrible game, so it lent itself to you guys just being funny.
Yeah, man, I think it was the game was not very good, as you said, but I like the idea of, if you don't like sports, here's another place you could party on Super Bowl Sunday, kind of keep track of the game if you want, and if not, listen to me or whoever else is on that stage trying to be funny about the game.
Oh, you guys were funny, though. That you guys were like, I was sitting there, I go into, most things with ultra low expectations of not expecting anything to, be worthy of my, time, but I went in there. And I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. I'm there to support. Taylor's funny. We'll see how it goes. And I sat down, and I am like, I'm an obnoxious like, I don't mean to be obnoxious when I laugh, but like, if I go see things, I laugh really loud. And I laugh very, much.
You were really enjoying yourself.
I love good.
I was laughing at how hard you were laughing.
I love to laugh. So when I start going, I have to like kind of tone it down if I'm in a movie theater, because I don't want to be that guy. But I remember being a kid and going to see Tommy Boy and just laughing my ass off. And ever since then, it's just been on.
Yeah, is that the best feeling in the world, or what? That laugh until you cry, abs are getting sore.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy's one that got me too when I was younger. He's relentlessly funny. Almost every scene has you laughing out loud.
Just physically.
Like, you walk out of the theater tired. You laugh so hard. What's better than that? That's the best thing ever.
Well, I mean, I think what kind of goes along, it's kind of hand in hand or tied, is the idea. And I mean, tell me, I would assume you'd agree with me, but making other people laugh because the feeling. So I imagine that kind of ties into kind of how you approach, comedy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a use a cliche. It's a high. It's an incredible high that you tried something and it worked. And like, I made all these people laugh at this specific thing I thought of in my head. Like, oh wow, other people think this is funny too. And I guess the flip side of that is when it doesn't work, it is real bad.
it's like a humbling experience though. I feel like having gone through that of just being either heckled or just having like a dead silence, it like kind of is a character builder. Maybe I'm just looking at the silver lining, you know?
No, you know what it is, man? And I know you said you're not a sports guy. I know you are. You talked about it a little before.
Right.
It's almost like training for a sport where a bad night is like a bad workout. You're not going to have every bad workout and every great workout, right?
Uh-huh.
But eventually you do some bad ones, some good ones, and hopefully it builds into something that is something at the end of the day, either, playing in the NFL or being a big comedy club, whatever it is. But you take the good with the bad and go, this doesn't work, I'm not going to do that again. This does work, I'll try it again, and kind of just go from there.
So you are a comedian.
I guess that's the best way to put it.
And how long have you been doing that?
I'm coming up on six years straight through.
Okay.
I started in 2007 when I was living in North Jersey in the city, took a little break, and then from 2013 in Asbury till now, I've been going nonstop.
What made you make that leap into being like, I want to do this?
I thought I was funny. My friends and family thought I was funny. So what I did was I was living in North Jersey. I would just go into the city a couple nights a week and go to open mics where literally nobody knew who I was. And I did it on purpose. I was like, I'm bad. Nobody will know. And it was right before social media. So I wasn't like posting, come and see me at, Village Comedy Club every night. And that kind of made it easy. So I got to try some things in complete strangers. And then I got married, moved down the shore. And then the Asbury scene was just kind of happening, 2012, 2013, and I just kind of jumped in there and got to kind of pursue it for the last 5 or 6 years straight through.
And what are some of the, because I don't even know where the comedy clubs are. Like where are the ones to go to in Jersey?
I guess the two most famous ones would be Stress Factory up in New Brunswick. They bring in big, A-list headliners every week. Kind of have some more, smaller level local guys and girls open there. And then Atlantic City, like Borgata or Atlantic City Comedy Club, brings in the people you see on Comedy Central, Netflix, stuff like that. As far as totally local, like what you guys do, there's comedy stuff all over Monmouth County. A lot of the music venues that, like, say, for example, I do a show every Monday night at Brighton Bar in Long Branch. Every weekend, they have bands in, singers, rappers, DJs, whatever it is. But on Mondays, I'm assuming because it was a slow night already, we do an open mic there. And if we get 20 comics to show up and another 10, 15 people watching, that's a good night for them financially because the bar would be empty on a Monday in the winter any other way. You guys saw me at House Independence. They do some stuff there. And then the Saint has shows all the time. A lot of the smaller music venues on those off nights trying to fill it with comedy. And if you get 50 people through the door and about half of them buying drinks or food, that's a decent weeknight for a bar that would have nothing going on otherwise.
Do they, like, if you're doing, okay, so on Mondays, that's like an open mic thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, the compensation is you just get to go up there, do your thing, check it out. What's it like? Is there places where you, like, if you're opening up for a bigger comic, do you like, are you expected to just do it and not kind of get compensated, or how does that work?
It really depends. I've done stuff that you would think you would definitely be paid handsomely for it in front of a big crowd in like an auditorium type space that's been just for exposure. They end up getting nothing. And then I've done shows in little, for lack of a term, hole in the wall bar basements where I've ended up getting paid for. There's really there's not a clear cut of when it's a paid show and when it's not usually. I get a couple of things you want to look for. Normally, if it's a fundraiser for a pretty big organization, they have a budget and they'll pay you for coming out, which is nice. And then normally what you look for is there's a cover to get in. Some of that should go back to the comics, right? That's kind of the way people look at it. If you're going to make $5 a head, I should get at least $1 or $2 a head if I'm helping you fill the place. But I've done, like I said, I've done shows that I thought were great big-time things, and that was just for the exposure. And I've done things that you wouldn't think would come with a paycheck, and they have.
It seems to me, too, that more of these kind of people that like to entertain, they're more doing it for, like, kind of what you were saying before, that kind of, like, that high you get as far as, like making people enjoy themselves. And more of the time, they're doing it for that. Like, I've mentioned on here, probably people are probably sick of it, but I was DJing, and I just like to go DJ, and, like, my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, would be like, asking me about getting paid, and I'd be like, I'm lugging all my speakers in, I'm going there, and I'm just doing it because you love to do it,
Yeah, man. Does anything take the wind out of your sails more than telling somebody with a great show, and then they go, how much you get paid? And you'd be like, no, nothing.
It's almost as funny as, like, you're going somewhere and the promoter's like, well, how many people are you gonna bring in? I'm like, I don't know. Like, my friends aren't gonna show up. So
yeah,
like,
you're the promoter.
Yeah.
I'm watching season 3 of Crashing on HBO. Are you familiar with that show?
Yeah.
It's about Pete Holmes and the comedy scene of the city. And to me, the most unrealistic part of season 3 is he's 3 years into a stand-up comedy career, and his friends and family are still showing up to his shows.
Yeah. Oh man, that's the funniest part is when I've talked to Mike Merrill about this. Epic shouts that like eventually you know where you are in a relationship with somebody and how close you are by how little they show up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's the beginning. They're into you. It's all great, and then it's like, all right, the middle of it, they're like checking their watch. Months down the line, it's like they're not showing up. They drop you off if you're lucky.
As far as we with DJs, comedians, bands in Asbury, I think we're in a weird spot because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
If you don't want to show up to something for free, there's 30 people in line behind you that will definitely do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you were in, I don't know, down in like South Jersey and Forked River or something, you're the only DJ in a 50-mile radius, you could probably demand a higher pay. But when you're in a town where there's 75 DJs, it's hard to name a price and really get paid for it. You know, I'm thankful every day. I think the Asbury Long Branch comedy scene is a great time to be a part of it. But at the same point, there's 100 of us. If I can't show up to something, they just go to the next guy with a little Instagram follow and gives a spot to him and forget I ever existed. I don't think that would happen if we lived out in the Midwest or a part of the country with less going on than we live here.
No, and it's got to be, I imagine, even tougher in New York, LA, where it's like, you know, even more people, you know, so I guess it's a balance. I do find that there's are you from Monmouth Ocean County or are you transplant?
I am from Toms River. I've lived in a bunch of different places,
Toms
and I've been
River.
in Long Branch since 2012.
Would I consider the South?
Well, I call it the Florida of New Jersey.
I mean, if you go down into like South, I've been I went down to what was I doing? I was doing like that skeet shooting. It was like down in South Jersey, which is like the deep South, but it's funny because when you think of Toms River or Ocean County, it's like that other place where people would be like, oh, you know, I'm in Monmouth County now, you know? It's like I'm not in Ocean County anymore, but as population kind of increases and more people are moving to the area, that's why I feel like with Totally Local, and Leo argues with me on this, but I feel like it's Monmouth and Ocean County because they're kind of, you know, part of it now. You know, I feel like Ocean County is kind of in the mix, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think if Ocean County is going to survive, it needs to have some of the stuff that Monmouth County has.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Toms River. My wife is from up in North Jersey. It's a town called Nutley up in Essex County, right? And we got married, had a baby. Now we live kind of between our two families in Long Branch, right? And what we both agree on and say all the time is Monmouth County is like the best of North Jersey and the best of South Jersey in one spot, right? Take a spot like Asbury or downtown Long Branch. There's beer gardens, there's beers, there's every kind of live music, every kind of DJ, poetry readings, plays. None of that happens in Toms River.
Yeah.
None of it happens in Toms River, right? But like you could drive. There's not traffic every minute of the day. Parking is not always an issue. The property taxes are reasonable compared to North Jersey.
Yeah.
So it's like I think where we live right now, why I like your show so much, I think we live in the best of both worlds.
I think it's a unique area, and honestly, that's why I started doing it because I think that like even listening to like you know, your sense of humor and even your intonation, I could tell you're from the area, like, and there's a certain humor.
He has an accent.
Well, yeah, and it's very specific, not only
Right.
to Jersey, but like this part of Jersey, and there's a whole attitude that like that this part of you know the state kind of it goes along with, you know.
Yeah, and I think part of it, and see, you guys are both very local too, so I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think part of it is New Jersey has such a stereotype everywhere else in the world that we're this one thing, right?
Yeah.
And guys like us are not that one thing, right? Like, I'm 100% Italian. My name's Angelo Gingerelli. I'm from Toms River, New Jersey, but I've never been to Guido in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I've never gone to like an EDM show ever. I never had the Sonic the Hedgehog haircut. I never took steroids or wore a tank top where you shouldn't wear a tank top. And that's like okay, I understand everybody in the country thinks we're the Sopranos in Jersey Shore, but there's this whole other thing in Monmouth County that's not that at all. And it's kind of like we're like, oh, we're not like them. I got love for all those people, but it's like we're not them, right?
Right. I mean, but I don't even see those people anymore.
No, they're not, because they're not really from this area. I mean, trust me, if I could wear like a wife beater and have that crazy haircut and be all jacked, I don't know, maybe I would do it, but I don't think I could really pull it off. It's the same reason I don't dress goth or like, you know, put on any kind of outfits.
I think you should try.
Maybe I should.
I'm a grown man, and every time I'm in a Hot Topic in the mall, which is way more than I should be in a Hot Topic, I look at all the goth kids and I'm like, dude, you are dressed just like I feel inside.
I don't like, yeah, I guess I just don't have the attention span or the commitment to really go in, you know?
Yeah.
It's like those reenactment people that like they get dressed up and then they get hit by a cannonball and just lay down in a field for hours. Like I don't have that commitment in life to just kind of go for it. But you know, there's something to be said for all the people that are in this area, and that's why I'm glad that, you know, seeing what Taylor's doing and seeing what you guys did, like, it's great that there's musicians, it's great that there's DJs, but there's this whole other component to it that really doesn't get expressed, and I think that that's wonderful that there's you know, people like you doing comedy in the area to kind of represent what the hell's going on, you know?
Yeah, man. I always tell people too, my two favorite things, entertainment wise, right, are comedy and hip hop, right? And those two things to me are better local because
my album's dropping soon. So
do you have something coming out, really?
I do, yeah.
Nice, man. We'll talk about that at some point. But so my thing is, like, if you're gonna listen to somebody rap or tell jokes, wouldn't you rather somebody rap or tell jokes about stuff you know personally?
Yeah.
That's why I'm such a big proponent of the local hip hop scene, and I like doing stand up because I would much rather hear a guy tell a joke about my neighborhood or my high school than a guy on TV just telling some very vague joke that appeals to everybody.
Right.
That's why I'm happy to be a part of the scene, and I think, like you said, whenever I meet somebody, if they ask me where I'm from, my thing is like, take a guess, and they know immediately. But like, that's my two favorite things: is hip hop and comedy. And I like those two things local as opposed to the national major label Netflix special stuff that everybody sees.
yeah, and I hope people, like, I joke on here a lot because I'm from Highlands, and in Monmouth County, if it's, you know, it's been an argument, discussion, especially from people. I'm from Highlands, which is like one of the worst, and then the other arguably worst one, in my opinion, it's obviously Keansburg. But when I talk to people from Keansburg, they make fun of Highlands, and it's like the two bottom ones, and it's all about busting balls, which is a huge part of about, you know, living around here. You either can take it or you cry.
Right, and weirdly territorial about your town compared to other towns. Like, until you move away, then all of Jersey is your people, right?
Yeah.
Like, growing up, I lived in a world where Toms River East is the high school I went to. The east side of Toms River was like my whole world, right? Then when I went to college, anybody said anything about the whole state of New Jersey, I would be upset about it, and then come home for the summer and like not want anything to do with the people on the north side of Toms River. It's such a weird thing.
It is.
Like, even now, like, I rep Long Branch pretty hard, and I love Asbury, obviously. But it's like, if you take me, if I happen to be in Florida or something on vacation, the whole Monmouth is what I rep, right?
Yeah.
The whole New Jersey.
Yeah. And if people, like, I lived out of state, so like people would say all the stupid stereotypical things, and I would just be like, dude, where are you from? No one even gives a shit about where you're from. Like, people talk about New Jersey all the time because we're awesome.
Agreed. How many TV shows, how many massive hit TV shows have been based there? How many musicians have we put on? How many stand-up comics? How many actors, actresses? For one of the small states in the union, I don't think we would be. Other states that think they're better than us don't have the stats that we have. They just don't have the stats and entertainment biz that we have.
The most highly densely populated state in the union. I was just driving through Seabright today, and I was looking. I was like, wow, that's where they shot The Sopranos, like right there at that thing. So there's something about this area where people, I don't know, identify with it. You know, I don't know. I love it here.
I think it's also so small that it feels it's like a homey feeling to the state, right? You can't go too far without knowing somebody, some family member, some friends from that area, having been there, going to school in that area. Like, it's always, you're never too far away from a homey place. That's something that reminds you of something growing up.
And people are mostly, in my opinion, friendly. They'll bust balls if they don't know you, but like, if you need help or, you know, you're asking them a question, like, people are super friendly. It's just not that BS, like, Midwestern fake nice. It's like,
it's real. I think it's a much realer place. I lived in the South for a bunch of years, and this is people. I hate to say it's a cliche, but people kind of keep it real here in a way they don't in other parts of the country. I think to go on what Leo said, the homey feel, I think, is part of, for our area. Everybody in New Jersey, and you can say parts of Pennsylvania and New York, have been here on vacation at some point, right? So even if you meet somebody that's from Brooklyn, they've been to Seaside, they've been to Asbury, they've been to Manasquan, right?
Atlantic City,
which is something.
Far down, but
say they're from Philly, they went to Atlantic City, right? They're from New York City, they went to Seaside, whatever it might be. But I think that helps our area out too. That we're the shore, and when everybody comes to their vacation, right? So you could be in Hong Kong and talk to somebody that's been to Bar A.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I don't know if that happens in other parts of the country, even other parts of the state, right?
Yeah, I mean, that happened to me when I lived out of state. Like, you'd run into random people, and they knew some. I was in Colorado in some random town, and there was this old dude who had a bookstore, like an antique shitty bookstore, and he was from Asbury Park. And I'm like, what are the odds that there would be somebody out here selling old ass books to me? and be from Asbury Park, be in that area. So there is something. That's why I started the podcast, because I think that there is something super unique about this
Like
area.
right now, as we record this, there's people wearing Pete and Elda's whole Pie Eater Club T-shirts all over the world.
Is it my roommate?
I had to.
Over
I had
the world,
to stop. I had to stop getting the shirts after a while, because I'm like, I have so many of these stupid like copyright infringing shirts. I can't.
Also, not that hard to eat that whole pie.
Yeah,
not that hard.
What is wrong with you people?
They shrunk the
I
pie.
can't even eat the bar pie by itself. I eat half the bar pie
really?
and I'm
Oh
done.
man, I'm just like, if I know I'm going to Pete and Elda's early in the day, I'm thinking about it all day, and by the time I get there, I'm just too excited, and I eat the whole
gotta
friggin'
plan for it and make it happen.
And I've been practicing since I was young, so by now, I mean, it's like nothing. It goes into Pizza Quest. We're doing a thing. It's Pete and Elda's doesn't count. Vic's and Bradley Beach doesn't count, but we're looking for the best like slice place to go.
Not bar pie, full slice
Yeah,
place.
Just
like
Okay.
slice
you go
place.
in, you're like, I want a slice.
What do you guys have in the running so far?
We're compiling a list right now, so we
Can
have.
I throw one in? Can I say one?
Yeah,
Please.
please.
There's a little spot called Naples on Fisher Boulevard in Toms River.
Oh,
It's
man,
my grown-up home pizza place. Literally, I do not leave Toms River without going to Naples at least once.
That's beautiful. See, that's the kind of thing where we have a running list. We're going to attack it. As we get into it more. I'm making a map of all of them, and that's part of it too. There is something in the water, because the bagels are really good around here, and the pizza's really good around here. You don't get that, and especially in other states, it's a fact. Like, people don't have any idea how good. So we're kind of like, it's the upper echelon of slices. You're not going to really go into a place and be like, this is a shitty slice of pizza, but there are definitely places where it's going to be a little bit better,
Yeah, would you ever, though, in Jersey, the bad place, on a scale of 1 to 10, the bad places are like 7 and 8s.
Yeah.
The good ones
Yeah.
are 10s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You go down to South Carolina, the bad places is a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we're kind of like, obviously all the chains are out. Let me turn this fucking thing off here. There we go. Sorry. Anyway, that's part of what we're doing on Totally Local. The other thing is where Leo kind of came in and saved my ass was, I would try to get people on the show, and not everybody has like free time, 2 p.m. in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. So Leo kind of came in and he breathed in this new life, as far as like he's going to places, he's checking out. I seriously don't know, except for Mike Merrill recommended Little Szechuan in Little Silver. I don't know what the hell I don't know what's going on in Little Silver. You went to Red Bank, which is like a layup. That's easy.
Well, and it was a great start to what I call the coastline tour, because their train has all these stops along the Jersey Shore. So I'm gonna hit all of them.
Okay,
And
nice.
so I started at Red Bank, and that was easy because I kind of figured out
There's all stuff going on.
how to do it right. But I learned from my mistakes. Like, you can't go try to learn about a place in one day, right? So you really do gotta go 4 or 5 times in a
I think
couple
Little Silver
weeks.
is gonna take you about a couple
So,
hours.
No, I'm excited. I've actually
not
already
Big
started
Silver.
planning it. I have a list of places where I'm gonna go. So
right, well,
I'm excited to give my Little Silver report in a couple of weeks.
I'm
It'll be fun.
definitely excited.
Do you
about
have any places in Little Silver that you like to go to,
The-
or have you been heard about ever?
There's a Turning Point in Little Silver, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been
so
there.
we've been there. That's a small chain. That's a New Jersey chain, right
Yeah.
there all in Jersey. And I think next to it, if it's still open, is a place called, I believe you pronounce it Crave. It's like the word crave with the accent mark over the E, and it's a paleo restaurant. That's kind of a different thing to be in a town that's small.
Yeah.
It's almost, I think it's in the same strip mall as the Turning Point.
That's interesting,
But,
because there's a cave or a cave in Avon Spring. Oh, where the hell is that? It's down. It's
You know what? I want to apologize. I think there's another paleo restaurant in Little Silver, and I was thinking of that one.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I'm wrong on that.
All right, we'll have
But
to
there's
look
a
into
paleo
it.
place.
I mean, if you do you eat paleo? Do you enjoy?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I've done paleo. I enjoy paleo food, but it's definitely a whole different.
I may eat paleo.
I mean, you could try it.
I have no idea what it is, so I could eat paleo every day.
You just kind of, it's like no gluten. There's no like
No,
wheat.
then,
There's
no,
like
I
no.
don't.
I don't think there's any cheese.
I had fruit yesterday. Is that paleo?
Yeah, I think vegetables definitely are.
yeah.
Fruit might not be.
Vegetables
The sugar
and
might
meat,
be too high in fruit.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all about the
I
sugar.
eat paleo all the time. I eat paleo every day.
Meat and vegetables every day.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it. So what would you say, like, what's your style of comedy? Is it like situational? Is it like, do you have like punchlines?
It kind of depends, man. I have some like I guess punchline type stuff, and more kind of just a general "you got to be kidding me" attitude about oh you guys see this in the news today? This was ridiculous. And then a lot of kind of like just like growing up Italian in New Jersey, kind of like local stuff, which is I guess it's good. It's kind of limiting because like, I know what I'm doing now. If I was ever to go to like Western Pennsylvania and do it, would just fail horribly. But it's kind of what I am right now.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that because like I'm a big fan of Bill Burr.
Sure.
And I listen to his podcast, and he's sold out. He's doing a Europe tour, and he's sold out. And he's like, these people don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, but they're laughing their asses off. So you might kill it in Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We're sending
definitely
you on,
as good as Bill Burr. That's definitely right.
We're gonna send you out to Western Pennsylvania and test this out. Like, hello. So what are some of your kind of favorite comedians that you?
Big Bill Burr fan.
Yeah,
I
right
think
on.
as far as for the last 20 years, consistently killing it. He might be the top. One of the top 5.
He's
definitely.
all the comedian too. A lot of people love him. Nobody says anything bad about him. His new special's coming out soon, so that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I still really like Chris Rock. Became a fan back in the 90s. I know it's a weird, almost generational thing. That last special he did was called Tambourine, and about half of it is about the political stuff going on, and half of it's about being married. And everybody younger than me hated the married half of it. Me being married, thought it was great. I thought the whole thing was really solid. I still like Dave Chappelle a lot.
Hell yeah.
And then I guess a guy that got really popular last year, Sebastian Maniscalco. He was doing comedy 20 plus years, and the last like 5 years, he's really just kind of figured it out. The joke I always make about him is if he was a pitcher in baseball at this point, we'd say he was on performance enhancing drugs because you can't get this good in your 40s. But he has. He's figured it out the last couple of years. Yeah.
I mean, that's the cool thing too about comedy is like it's not something where it's like I'm in some emo band and like I'm like 48. It's like comedy. You could just keep doing it till you're dead.
Yeah, like I always say. I've been around a decent amount of time, and when you see somebody young, somebody like in high school or just in college or whatever it is, you can kind of tell they've got the start of it, maybe, right? But it's hard to be good until you're in your late 20s.
So you had some shit thrown at you.
Yeah, you got to go through life a little bit, and I think you got to be a little bit of an outsider. It's like, to me, in high school, the guy that's the captain of the football team and the prom king and straight A student going to an Ivy League school, he's probably not going to be the funniest guy in your class too, right? But the kid that's like in the back with the hoodie up, wearing headphones in class, lucky to have a girlfriend, maybe. That kid's probably really funny because he's watching it from the outside.
Because he's not getting laid.
Or he's the killer.
Or I guess there's some chance of that.
If he's in the back of the school with his hoodie up all the time.
Watch out for him.
Yeah,
or
be
give
careful.
him a chance.
Yeah, maybe he's an alright guy.
Either way, be friends with him because you don't want him
He's either
going to
be hilarious or very dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think
both.
It could be both. It could definitely be both. But you see, like, people get in their late 20s, 30s, they kind of get removed from what pop culture tells you is cool, and then they can kind of point and laugh at what pop culture tells you is cool, which you can't do when you're 19.
Right.
Most people can't do when they're 19.
Yeah, and it's going out too. Like I love to support my friends. I love going out to see them do things. And it's as I go out to these bars, you start to see these younger and younger people. And even this podcast, like the more I think about it, it's really not meant for people that are like younger. I mean, great. If you're listening to this, shout outs, let me know, because I think it's more about people that are doing a wide variety of things that are like social, interacting with people, and they can go out and not, it's not just about, hey, I'm going to go out, take a bong rip and go out and party and black out. It's people that are kind of doing different things, like going to Little Silver to see what the fuck.
Spending days on end in Little Silver. I think one that's interesting. Can I just throw something out real quick?
Yeah.
You said it's not the guy that's 48 an emo band, right? Do you guys feel like as a culture we're so youth centric, right? We tell people that are trying to do things that are, let's call it the entertainment industry, that's for 18 to 25-year-olds, and then you should be done, right? But if you think of comedy, music, rapping, DJing, whatever as a skill, shouldn't you be better at that skill at 40 than you were at 20 if you did it consistently for 20 years?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think that we're in a society where things are like packaged to be like easily malleable by these forces that are kind of behind the scenes that you could kind of, puppet master whatever's going on, and then when their usefulness is over, they could throw them out, and they're not really bringing up points that are actually useful. Like I love hip hop. I even like the pop hip hop that's on the radio, but there's something to be said for like, what the message is, what they're putting out there is superficial. It's like really not of any value, and they're not talking about stuff that I'm dealing with, like, dietary issues or how I need to do more push-ups.
Yeah, I just feel like there's just such a lack of experience that could be there for somebody in that 18 to 20. I don't want to hear the music that an 18-year-old DJ is playing. If I know he's 18 and I'm not going to pay to go see his show.
Yeah.
You get your own SoundCloud account. Listen to it right there.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, and shout outs to like Tyler Valentine, who like he DJs in Asbury. I remember seeing him. He's gotten more popular and like he plays very youthful stuff that like I dig that he's got a lot of energy and he do what he's doing and he's putting dance music out there. But it's like this crowd. When I was doing it, when I got to a point where I'm like, I want to play what I want to play, and I don't think any of these fucking people want to hear what I want to play, so I guess I'm gonna like stop now. So goodbye.
Well, talking about the different places and venues, you've played a lot of really cool ones like the Paramount Theater, the Showroom, the Saint, Wonder Bar, but you played some interesting ones too, like Crust and Crumble and the Eatontown Library.
Where do you go? Where's the stage?
What are you doing at the library?
That library is actually right across the street from here, man. Yeah,
how's everybody doing today?
Yeah.
How are your books?
Quiet. All right. How's everyone doing today?
You're like, hey, where are you from? Keep it down, sir.
Are you supposed to be here?
Yeah. To call security.
Do they know that you're here doing this?
Does library have security? We got a crazy man.
That's great.
Hey, just shout out to all public libraries, man. Your taxes already bought those books. You might as well read them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what's a bit weird? Those weird venues that I have on my website. That it's fifthroundmovement.com if you want to check it out. For comedy, you don't need a massive PA system. You don't need a good acoustics. You need a mic that kind of works, right? So it's funny to laugh at that. I don't stand up in all these bizarre places, but it's kind of cool they've opened those venues, right, and gave people a place to perform. And then, like, for example, there's an open mic at that library for probably like 6 months, and I would go there every week just trying to do 10 minutes about libraries, which, like, it's a weird thing, but, like, some of that's made it into my regular act at this point, which is kind of cool, you know what I mean? So I like that Crust and Crumble. They do a mic every 2 weeks or once a month. It's just kind of it's a real small room in the back. They move a couple tables out of the way. The host, his name's Rob Avon, a great guy. And he brings in a real small like PA system with some mic on the stand and goes at it. So I think one thing that if I am in no position to give advice to anybody, but if you're thinking about starting anything, I think you have to look at some non-traditional venues and think about starting real small, like maybe library small, and then maybe work your way up to a place with an actual stage. The show you guys met me at the House of Independence at year 5.5 of doing stand-up in this area. That's the first venue I ever performed in with a dressing room. I'd never been backstage before. It's just been like, here's Angelo, and I get up from my seat at the table and walk up to the front. So like that night I was like, I made it, man. I'm in a dressing room at House of Independence. Things are moving right for me.
That's part of it too. I mean, I think that's with anybody that's trying to do anything what I consider entrepreneurial or creative is like if somebody says, "Hey, do you want to do a set at a vegan pizza place?" You have to say yes, otherwise you're not serious about it, you know?
Yeah, and I think I guess the idea in comedy, I think a lot of not professions but artistic pursuits, you never turn down stage time, right? And I pretty much live by that. The one thing that I think changes from this generation to previous generation of that is if you have the opportunity to do something that would be like online and last forever, that's probably a better use of your time than doing a stand-up set in a pizzeria basement, right? Like, for example, we're filming this midday. But if this was at night and it was this or set at the Saint, I'd probably pick this because it's going to last a little longer, expose me to new fans. But luckily you guys are cool and do it during the day, so it's not a choice I have to make.
So you grew up in the east side of the TR, and was it the high school, Toms River East, or?
Yeah, there's 4 high schools down there, and the joke I always make about it is if you meet somebody from Toms River, it's a pretty big town, and want to know where they're from, don't ask them what high school they went to. Just ask them what they did on their 16th birthday, and you'll know automatically. If their father bought them a Mercedes, they went to North. If their father bought them a carton of cigarettes, they went to East. If they haven't met their father, they went to South. And if they got beat up in public school, they went to Monsignor Donovan.
I was wondering where Monsignor Donovan was. I always heard that name. I went to Modern Day, which was probably the Monsignor Donovan of the North. It was pretty, kind of worthless. Sorry, guys, of a school. Sports sucked at the time. Now they're importing all these people. But were you how were you as a student in high school? Were you a troublemaker?
No, man. And I think I've always been. I went to high school in the '90s, right? So the '90s, always high school was very segregated as far as like hip hop kids were here, skater kids were here, surfer kids were here,
Like
athletic
Clueless.
kids were here. It was like Clueless. It really was like Clueless, right? And I played sports, always did well in school. I was a super hip hop head though, right? So I was like the era of I had a size 28-inch waist, wearing size 38-inch Bugle Boy jeans, Timberland boots, dragging a vest on like I'm going camping. And I'm in a climate controlled school. No reason for that whatsoever. And it was weird because there really wasn't a place for that kid in the '90s, right? Like hip hop wasn't big in Tom's River. None of my friends were into it, so I was like the kid taking like AP history, but listening to Nas's Illmatic on my Sony Walkman on the way to class, which I was kind of an anomaly. Now I think what's better about growing up now, it seems like those dividers have kind of come up,
Dissipated.
right? Now because everybody listens, with music's free, everybody listens to a little everything, right? The clothes are more, they're kind of everybody kind of like there's rap kids wearing Vans, there's skateboard kids wearing jerseys like that. Everybody's kind of moved to the middle a little bit, which I think probably makes high school a little bit better experience. I had a good experience in high school, got good grades, I went to college, had friends I still talk. I went to see Miss Marvel with my high school friends the other day. We're still all tight.
That's cool.
But
Great movie.
really good. That was really good.
Wow, I got mixed
night.
reviews online. I
saw
didn't
it
know if
last
it was
night.
going to
I
be a
loved
lot of like women haterish stuff going on Twitter.
It was a little lesbianic.
Well, that's okay.
But I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, I would say the only person that wouldn't like it would be like a person that just hates women and women in movies.
Right,
I can't see if you're a superhero guy or a girl and you're just into that world and be like, nah, this wasn't good.
She
You know what I mean?
actually,
It was good. I thought it was great.
the lead actress in it actually showed up in Clifton.
I
New
saw some
Jersey.
clips of that, yeah.
She was just like walking around and people, I think that's her.
She
And
was
then-
hanging out at the theater, like
yeah,
helping get
Brie
popcorn
Larson.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it's crazy.
She seems like a cool person.
Yeah.
Saw her in a couple of interviews and stuff. She seems like a pretty cool actress.
I'm glad that they're keeping it going, and it was good because it's so surreal for me, like growing up. I'm in the '90s when I was like into comics, like to think then I used to like come up with casts for like the movies back then, and my opinion, like back then I was like, all right, well, we all know who would play Wolverine. It would definitely be Steven Seagal. And that was the number one. I was like, because he's never going anywhere. He's awesome. He'll never get bloated and crazy. But to think now that it's come this far, where it's like it's the nerds kind of have come up.
Nerds
and, like,
won. The nerds won. Yeah. Like we live in a world where we were kind of upset with Mark Zuckerberg before because Facebook is down today.
Yeah.
But he's one of the most popular guys in the world, and there's no other way to describe him than a nerd.
Yeah.
Right? He's just a computer
He's a
guy
super
that just
nerd.
figured it out.
Yeah.
But the comic book thing, man, I try to see almost every comic movie that comes out. Do you think the standards are too high? Like, 'cause I saw the reviews for Venom when that came out. The worst movie ever on Rotten Tomatoes,
it was
right?
very bad.
Well, then I watched it, and I didn't hate it nearly as much as everybody else, right? My thought process
agree.
is this: if Venom comes out in 1995, it's the best comic movie
movie of
ever.
all time.
The problem is it came out in a world where all the whole Marvel universe exists, the DC movies exist, the X-Men, Wolverine, good ones exist. So you compare that, like, oh, Venom's terrible. But if Venom comes out the same year as like Batman and Robin and Spawn, we're all like, Venom's dope.
Venom was great. I
Well,
thought it was
they,
great.
The part that when it was all good, it was all great up until the part where he became like this friendly Bart Simpson-y, like, hey dude, let's work together. Like that part, I'm like, that's not the Venom I know and love. You
Well,
know?
maybe he didn't get there yet.
Well, I mean, he should have just been angry and evil the whole time and just messing with people. But I really like what like Tom Hardy did with the character. I like the fact that they separated everything. It's just when they started climbing on that rocket, I was like, this is like, But I've learned to compartmentalize. It's like that there's that Spider-Man. I think it was the reboot, the first one. I loved it up until C. Thomas Howell was on like a crane, and at that point it kind of like it lost me. But like, so I'll be like, all right, the beginning was good. I'll just have to shut it off at a certain point.
You know what movie that hit me with was Batman vs Superman. I will say that I'm a big comic book guy. I've seen probably worse movies than that, right? But I've never been that disappointed by a movie that I was excited about. Like I went there super fired up. And then it was what it was. But now that it's on TV all the time, it's almost like watching a baseball game where there's long stretches that are terrible and boring, but then there's some home runs in there too.
Yeah,
There's some
yeah.
scenes that are like, oh, this is all right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, it's time to change it. That
Yeah.
good part's over.
It's like the difference between like say like Illmatic, where the whole album is just awesome, and then like another album where it's like, all right, this song's good, this song's great, this song is not good, so you have to like skip around. I'm always been like a Marvel fan even since I was a kid. There's something about the DC universe where I'm like, I don't know. It's like it just rubs me the wrong way. They do it's too silly to me, which is like ridiculous because anything is like a superhero, like Marvel superhero versus a DC. They're all ridiculous, But,
I think one thing that to me what the MCU does really well is kind of lean into that silliness. Like they're kind of winking at you, like when the characters make jokes to each other, or like Spider-Man saying, "Oh, we're using our real names in Infinity War." It was kind of funny to me. Whereas like these DC movies are taking something like you said is inherently ridiculous and asking us to take it way too seriously. To me, anyway.
Yeah, I like the last Thor one was I was laughing the whole time.
Agreed.
You didn't like it?
You know what I do like? I like.
I know you
X-Men.
don't like lobster rolls. I know
like
that
lobster
much.
rolls.
I can't believe you were shitting on lobster rolls last time.
If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to last week's episode 21. No, I really like X-Men a lot, and I think for me that's what brings me to Marvel and kind of really always wanting to see what they're going to do, just because I think they did such a great job with all of those X-Men movies.
I wish they could combine the two universes because mutants are such a huge part. This is like where if anyone was listening, this is where everybody is just like zoned out because we're talking about comic books. I don't give a shit. The fact that they had to separate the two because of Sony and Fox or however the hell that worked, like that kind of sucked. But yeah, it was the same. Like when I grew up, X-Men and Wolverine were the things that I read. That was the stuff, and they've done a fairly okay job. I didn't like the last I liked Logan. That one was really cool. But I think the last one they did, they're coming out with a new one too now.
Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, that
in
one
like
should be
June,
cool.
maybe.
Yeah.
Is that right?
June.
So.
Yep.
But this can't last.
Right after July 4th.
I'm saying
somewhere around that time.
I'm saying this as I realize that Captain Marvel had a huge opening, like a very ultra successful weekend. But I mean, it can't keep going. They can't keep making these awesome movies and making this much money, like beat after beat. There's got to be a point, right?
Like when does market saturation happen?
Yeah.
And we're not going to run out and see the Wasp solo movie that got spun off from Ant-Man, that got spun off from Avengers.
I mean, I didn't see that.
I really liked what Netflix did, and I was kind of disappointed when the Punisher that was the one where I was like, that one was really awesome. Daredevil started off good, but like Punisher getting canceled too. I was like, I think they're shifting around money or something. I think they're getting ready to start like their own like Disney streaming service.
Right.
Anywho, back to comedy.
Okay.
Back to what you're doing.
So I am not good with comedy. Or I will say like really knowing comedians like other people seem to do. But I do have two that I will stop what I'm doing and I will watch them. And I want to see what you think about these two, okay? So the first one is Louis C.K.
Damn, man.
I love Louis C.K. He did the show Louis. I've watched that straight through and I rewatch it. I think that was brilliant. I think he's brilliant. He's weird, but we all are. He just got
there's
caught.
some more than others.
Yeah, well.
All right, man. I like Louis the way I like R. Kelly's music, Michael Jackson's music, Michael Vick on the football field, right? You separate the art from the artist, and it's undeniable he's great at what he does, right? Would I like to hang out with him for a night? No, probably not. But would I, like you say, watch him on Netflix or listen to him on Spotify? Absolutely.
I totally would want to hang out with him. I'm like, what you doing over there? What's going on? And the other one, and this, I know they have had a weird past, these two comedians, but I just happen to like them individually, would be Dane Cook, and I'm actually going to see him. My first comedy show is going to be, well,
At the Count
probably
Basie?
will be yours, because I'm going to check you out.
Oh, nice. Appreciate that, man.
Mondays.
Have you guys been to the Brighton Bar? Have you guys been to the
Brighton
Brighton Bar
Oh,
before?
yeah.
I have not. No.
Nice.
But I'll be checking you out there. But
Awesome.
then my second comedy show is going to be Dan Cook. What are your thoughts about him? Is this too late? Should he have just hung it up?
I don't know, man. I think everybody that hates him now, maybe if you're older, this is different. But I'm gonna say if you're in the right age group, at some point you were a fan of his, right? He was so big in like the mid 2000s when he's selling out stadiums at Madison Square Garden a couple nights in a row. And in my opinion, always very funny. I remember he has a special called Home Full of Swallowed that I have the DVD of that will still make me laugh out loud right now. I'm unapologetically a fan of what he was doing 10 years ago, right? Yeah. If he was stealing jokes and everything else he's been accused of, not a fan of that, obviously. But from just like put this DVD in from 2004 and laugh at it right now, he was great for a while. You know what I mean? I don't know if you tell what do you guys think about this? Tell him to hang it up. if you could still sell out a pretty big theater and make, tens of thousands of dollars in a night, should you hang it up or should you,
Hell no.
keep your bank account growing and put your kids in a better place and
if you
eat
love
off that?
too, if you love doing it. Like I think I saw one of his specials on HBO, years and years and years ago before I knew that like it was uncool to like him, and I thought he was really funny. And honestly, I mean, I guess I don't know, I'm probably just ignorant and just unsophisticated, but like Louis C.K., I'm like, or maybe to each his own. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Come on. But as far as Louis C.K. goes, like I don't think he's like I laugh more at Dane Cook than I laugh at Louis C.K. If he's stealing jokes, he's stealing the good ones. So congratulations on that. I think it's tough too. I mean, I've looked into it. Joe Rogan had that problem with Mencia, where like he was stealing the jokes and it was like this thing that everybody knew about. But there's got to be this kind of gray area where you might overhear it subconsciously, or you might have the same thought as somebody.
Especially the world we live in now with social media, right? Let's say, for example, I think of a Donald Trump joke. How could I say that poorly? If I think of a Donald Trump joke and I put it on Instagram, what's to say a guy or girl in Seattle didn't think of the exact same thing? If you live in a world where everybody shares the same, large media experiences, and everybody could put them up online and make fun of them, and there's billions of people out there. Mm-hmm. How do you say you thought of something first and somebody else didn't? I think it's real hard as a gray area.
Yeah. I mean, if it's established, it's established, and like that's the kind of thing with Carlos Mencia was like everybody knew about it and like dealt with it, but other cases it's like hard to say, and you should just focus on making people laugh and not worrying about
Yeah, and I think too, like I hate to say it, but as far as like you saying you're not as sophisticated as you like Dane Cook more than Louis C.K., mm-hmm. right? Take the smartest comedy snob in the world, show them a person falling down a flight of steps, and they'll laugh at that. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. There's this.
That's what makes you laugh, man. Yeah. I don't know if that makes you more or less sophisticated or smarter or less smart.
Well, it's like I hear people saying what they like, and I'm like, oh, I don't really, I don't vibe with it, So you got Brighton Bar Mondays going on. Anything else coming?
I did actually notice something else pretty interesting. So other than doing your comedy thing, you also have something else that you do.
The weddings?
The weddings.
Yeah, man.
What do you like MC weddings?
I officiate weddings.
Oh, wow.
So in 2016, so almost 3 years ago now, my first cousin got engaged. They weren't religious, and she was like, would you mind doing it? Her and her fiance
Why did they pick you?
Well, they had seen me do stand-up a bunch of times. So
they're like, we want to laugh.
Yeah, they were like, we want to get married in a park in New Orleans. You're going to come to the wedding anyway. Would you mind doing this, right? So I got ordained, and then what I normally do with couples now is I have a real bland script of a wedding that will get you legally married, right? Uh-huh. And then I take it to them. We email back and forth. We meet. We kind of build some jokes in, do some personal stuff, and then that's the wedding ceremony. And then we fill out the paperwork in whatever state it's in, and they are legally married. It's a cool thing, man. One thing, like, there are aggressive crowds in comedy sometimes. At a wedding, everybody's happy. Yeah. Everybody's cool. You know what I mean?
They're not heckling you while you're up there?
Not yet. That hasn't happened yet. So yeah, it's been really fun, man. The last couple of years, I've done that a couple times. It's been a blast.
That's cool. That's my wife. She officiates as well, and it's something because I stalked you online a little bit. Your wife teaches yoga.
Yes.
My wife teaches yoga.
Oh wow, we have a lot in common.
Do you have any jokes about the whole
yoga world?
Yeah.
Or, no.
Because you're a smart married
man. Yeah, exactly right. And our finances are combined, so if she does well teaching yoga, that means I do well too, right? I'll be honest with you, man. I like to work out. I run. I do physical stuff every day. But I like yoga. I wish I could love yoga, and I think part of it is, I don't know if you do it with your wife ever. There's a pretty mental component to it. You gotta buy in to get the results out of it. And I get too much at like minute 15. Like, all right, let's speed this up. Let's go. What are we doing? We're coming one with the sun. We got to get this done.
That's part of it too.
Yeah, the people that buy in get incredible benefits from it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain, like, obviously low impact. It works a lot of different parts of your body that maybe your tendons, or even helps your bones actually from doing these exercises. Honestly, I'm pretty bad right now. I've been bad for maybe a few years now. And I need to get back on it because it does build up like your mental strength as well as like helps you physically. But I haven't. I've been slacking really hard on the whole yoga side of it. I mean, I couldn't imagine, like, she'll teach a class, and I would go to it if she listens to this. She'll be laughing because I haven't gone in like a long time. But that's one of the reasons I knew I could like interface with her on a more permanent level, because I've walked out, like, I'm sure you've had that happen where you're doing, your comedy, your thing, and like people have just been like, fuck this, and walked out. I've walked out on yoga teachers before where I've
Wow.
just been like, I don't say nothing, but if I did, I'd be like, this class sucks, and I'll walk out. But I didn't walk out on her class. It was really
That's
good.
fair.
Yeah.
Have you done hot yoga before?
No, everybody when I say yoga, they're like hot yoga, and I'm like, I don't see the point of doing it because it's kind of gross in a way,
It's real uncomfortable, man. The first time my wife wasn't a yoga teacher yet. This is when we first got married, 5-6 years ago, and we went to a yoga class at a studio. She would take classes all the time, and I'm not kidding. On the way in the building, she goes, "Don't pass out in here. I'll be embarrassed." But then, and I'm like, I'm in good shape. But I will. It's a weird experience to get that dehydrated that quickly, barely moving.
Oh,
It's a weird sensation.
Yeah, it's more of a mental game, and then like you gotta stay hydrated, because if you don't after doing like a class, you'll just be out.
We went to the hot yoga class at like 10 o'clock Saturday morning. I didn't feel like myself again until I went to sleep and woke up Sunday morning. It took like 24 hours to get back to like regular functioning.
How hot is it?
It's over 100. I think it's 105, 110.
Well, why would you want to do that?
It's like get stuff out of your body or something.
Yeah, you sweat a ton.
Can't you just go to a sauna? You just sit there
Sure.
and hang out.
You could, but this is like a whole other. It's like you're exercising.
I've
and
never
you're
done any
It's like you're
sort of
torturing
yoga.
yourself on 2 different levels. Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
I think you'd love yoga. You should try it out. You should put that on your list of things to do. Go to a yoga class. Ooh, aerial yoga. We got to go to that. I have a Jody Coburn Epic Shout. She was like the first guest I ever had.
I've heard that episode. It's very good.
And thank you very much. It was super. It was super awkward because her boyfriend at the time was like in there, and he was just sitting there, and like I had to like kind of maneuver. It wasn't that, it was great talking to her. It was very interesting to interact, but then there was this dude just randomly sitting there, which was interesting. Anyway, we have to go to her studio because she does aerial yoga, and I want to do a
go
video.
To the studio? I'm doing a pizza slice thing.
All right, well, we could do pizza, then do aerial yoga.
win.
And throw the...
That's why you guys are a good team. One guy's doing pizza, one guy's doing yoga. Come back and talk about it.
See
Exactly.
which one was better.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I already know.
Is your wife like? There's 2 types of yoga people. There's like the physical yoga people, and then there's like the holistic spiritual yoga people. Which one do you got?
She's, I guess, more on the spiritual side of things.
Right.
She has a business. I'll shout it out if you guys don't mind.
Oh yeah, do it.
Mama,
do it up.
it's called Mama Bird Wellness,
Uh-huh.
and her main business is yoga for moms and kids together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right, so she kind of took what she was doing yoga wise when she became a mom. We had her daughter 3.5 years ago now, and kind of combined it with life coaching, spirituality, and kind of getting used to being a mom and being physical with your kids all the time. Which I super respect that, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
The idea of like we have families out there where everybody's obese. We have families out there where nobody's active. And if that's your family, you're probably not going to start working out randomly when you turn 18.
Yeah.
You're going to be sedentary and obese too. Yeah. So her idea is let's start these kids when they're super young, 6 months, moving and having fun with movement and activity, and hopefully doing yoga or some kind of physical activity through the rest of their lifespan.
Oh, we got to get her on here and do a whole nother episode. Really,
yeah, she can explain it much better than me, but she's
have
good.
Both of you on the show.
That's
that'd be great.
Nice.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Couple. Because I think I respect that a lot, that you don't like, I'm sure at home maybe you break bananas a little bit and joke about stuff, but the fact that you keep it out of your act, because like my wife's looking at stuff on Facebook and telling me how every moon is the special moon, that something's happening and there's planets aligned and stuff, and I have to make jokes about it.
You know what prevents me from that, supposed to being just a smart man and wants to stay
Highly
married,
intelligent,
is what I see, that part of me wants to be like, oh, that's all silly. There's nothing to moon cycles. But then I look at people that buy into it, and they're super happy for the most part. I can see it. It's like, oh, if that makes you happy and makes you feel better and your body's getting in better shape because of it, how can I really hate on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because I'm sure they would look at me and be like, here's this guy that works 80 hours a week and then goes out, leaves his family alone, and tell jokes at the Brighton bar. That's stupid too.
Right.
Or he's a grown man with a car seat in the back listening to Tekashi 6ix9ine at absurdly loud volumes with the windows down. He's a moron.
Yeah.
And they'd be right probably.
That's what I mean. That's what my wife, in a good way, kind of broke me down to the point where I was just like, yeah, like she's super relaxed. She kind of calms me down and makes me a little more centered, and she definitely brought all the spirituality back into my life through that. So I mean, I respect that. I respect what that's all about. What do we got? What do we got coming up this weekend?
What events do we have?
Do you like fish? Do you like the band Fish?
Not really, no.
Well, you're in for a treat because Mike Gordon, the bassist, will be playing at
Wait a
Asbury
minute.
Lanes.
Wait a minute.
Huh.
Where's the intro music to the segment?
I told you, I'm working on it. It's
Well, I need something. We're gonna just jump into events.
What's the sec?
Wait, there's a whole segment about the band Fish?
No.
What's the segment? What's the title of your segment?
I don't know.
Leo's Events?
I haven't figured it out yet. But
well, we need the name first, and then I make the song. That's how I work.
All right.
You know, something like
Well,
Leo's Events. Leo's Events.
Well, that was good enough.
Okay.
All right. But I will give it to you. You can kick us off with the events for this week. You have a really cool one, and we'll both be at it.
I do have. I wish I had the details in front of me for the first one. I know. I'm sorry. I was helping Pops with his computer today. It's my bad. How are we doing on timing? We good?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Cool. The second one I'm aware of, and I have the tickets for. The first one is at the Wonder Bar. It's this kid Taz, who is this youngster, and I could say that because I'm old. But he's like, I forget how old he is, but he shreds on the guitar. And I just saw it randomly, I think today or yesterday. And he's coming to town. He's playing at their Wonder Bar, and I really want to go see that because it's, much respect. When you see like a young kid, when I see anybody that's passionate about anything, I respect it. But when you see like a young kid that's like, I'm doing it, like if I was really into accounting when I was like 5 and I really got into it, I would have been stoked. But I never had that thing where I was like, this is what I want to do, and it makes sense. Anyway, so that's at the Wonder Bar on Friday, and if anyone's going to that, let me know. The second thing I'm doing this weekend, which sold out because Fish is a very popular band, if you don't know, the bassist from the band Fish, Mike Gordon, is playing at Asbury Lanes. I'm very excited about that. A lot of my friends are going. It's going to be a good time.
What day is that?
That's Saturday.
Oh.
Didn't somebody, our friends will always buy Leo tickets to shit because they know he won't go. So then they buy him a ticket and he's like, well, shit, I got to go.
I gotta go.
Did somebody buy you a ticket for Mike Gordon?
A Christmas gift.
Oh, wow. Christmas gift. That's like sneaky. That's like kind of like a threat, basically. That's like.
And you had 3 months to clear schedule. You should go.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's Saturday? Like this Saturday?
You'll be sneaking out early or something.
Hey, real quick, do you guys find as you get older, you make plans to do things, buy tickets, get a babysitter, whatever it is, and you're jacked about it, right?
Yeah.
And the closer it gets, you're like, I could take it or leave it.
Oh.
And the day before, you're just dreading it, whatever it is.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's my whole life.
The show motivates me.
Oh.
No, the show motivates me. He didn't let me finish. The show motivates me to actually do more stuff now.
Yeah, that is
but I
true.
did that. I bought tickets for something, and then the show came up. It was some show at House of Independence, and by the time I was like, it's cold out, it's dark, I'm not going. It's got to be tougher too with a kid, like.
Yeah, it's got to be for us where neither one of our families are real close. It's got to be something great for the warrant paying for a babysitter, both of us going out together. But then I'll go to some stuff by myself, some stuff by herself. We make it work, but for us to get out together, it's got to be like one of our favorite artists or like a movie we just couldn't wait to see, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Well, it'd also be nice. How old are your kids?
Just one daughter, 3.5.
Okay. Well, it'd also be nice as she gets a little bit older, you'll be able to do more things and bring her along.
Well, dude, here's the thing I'm curious about as she gets older because she knows a lot of the people that are in and around Asbury because I'll take her to day shows and stuff. Asbury Underground, I take her to every year and she eats it up. She's legit never been to a sporting event, a music thing, or a comedy thing where the person on the stage or playing didn't stop and acknowledge her presence immediately when we walked up. Wow. So my question is, what happens when that doesn't happen, right?
I'm here.
If we go to a Yankee game and Aaron Judge is like, what's up, June? Yeah. What's the next, what does she do? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like if we go see Travis Scott next year and Travis is like, hold up, let me stop sicko mode to give June Gingerelli a shout out. And she's like, Dad, what the hell is going on here?
I don't like this place.
I mean, that's setting her up, I think, for a road to maybe get up on the stage herself.
Well, that's what I am happy about. She's grown up in a world where performers and entrepreneurs and comedians, rappers, DJs, musicians are in her world, right? She's going to hear this at some point when we're driving in the car, right?
Yeah.
She hears her mom on podcasts promoting yoga and that kind of lifestyle. So she's growing up in a world where these things exist. Yeah. And I had a good childhood, but in Tom's River, when I grew up, these things didn't exist. I didn't know anybody that was doing anything.
And cabins.
Yeah. So it was like, I thought the performing, entertaining world was on this planet, and my world was on this planet.
Hell yeah,
and she's
I
going to
was
grow
the
up in a
same
world
way.
where it's the same.
Same thing.
If she wants to get involved in something, great. If not, that's great too. But she's going to know what's there for her.
It
You know what I
really
mean?
it took me getting out of Jersey for whatever reason. I was like, people, it took me getting out of Jersey to be like, oh, I could do stuff too. There's no reason, but for some reason when I was here, I was just like, I couldn't imagine doing it. Do you find that like have you have you used her as like a play test group where you play certain music and like do you like this or do you like this?
Yeah, my favorite story about that ever. She just turned 2 in 2017, about 2-3 months after Kendrick Lamar dropped "Damn," right?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't think she could understand anything on the radio. I just played anything with reckless abandon, right?
Uh-huh.
And we're in the Dublin house over in Red Bank. Me, her, and my wife. She's sitting on my side of the booth. My wife's on her side. She stands up on the booth, and I go, "Sit down." And she looks at me dead serious, goes, "Be humble."
Oh,
You melted?
whoa.
That was
Yeah, I was like, well, it's the best. It's the best or worst thing that's ever happened. And then
Whoa.
like she loves Drake. Every Drake radio song she loves. I didn't tell you like how good or bad, depending on you think that guy is at making music that appeals to everybody.
Hell yeah.
Like my daughter's favorite songs are Sesame Street, Baby Shark, and In My Feelings by Drake. He's got it, man. He's figured out how to appeal to everybody at the same time, which is amazing.
I
That's
love that.
great.
Sit down, be humble. I love that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh man, so those are the two things that stuck out for me this weekend. Are there any? Aside from being dragged to a show that you barely want to go to? What else are you doing?
There's just two things that I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
over the next week, and you know how I like Asbury Park bar crawls.
Oh man, I don't know how you do it.
Anybody who has been listening to the show from the beginning, when we first did our show together, and we started building out the Instagram account. The day I built the Instagram account, the pictures from it are from
Which
a
is
bar crawl.
totally underscore local underscore podcast.
Yeah, well. So they're pictures from me doing a Christmas bar crawl. Well, I'm going to be doing a St. Patrick's Day bar crawl.
Oh man, that's like the World Series of bar crawls.
I know, and I'm ready. I think I can handle this.
Did you
one.
do Sunday? Wasn't the parade
I
Sunday?
did do Sunday.
Did you get hammered or what?
No, well, see, here's my thing. I like to do the parade, Days Ice Cream. Thanks for having me. It was only like 6 of us, so I was really nervous to play the kazoo. I'm in the kazoo band for Days Ice Cream in Ocean Grove.
Doing it all.
And we had a great time out there in the parade. So my favorite part about that whole day is you wait a couple of hours after the parade is over. You get in your car. I mean, you're not drinking. I go home.
You get
I
drunk,
go home
get
and
in
take
your
a nap.
car, drive off the bridge.
But then about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I like to get in my car and just drive around Asbury.
Oh,
and
man.
the people who are just falling down
man.
and screaming at each other and
Got some
fighting
video of
all
that
over the place.
shit.
It's like The Walking Dead.
It's crazy. I love it.
Does a bar crawl, like, do you have to pay? I think I've asked this before, but, like, just humor me. Do you have to pay money? Is that part of the crawl, or are you just crawling from bar to bar and just drinking?
You're paying.
I feel like I'm, like, foreign. Like, from
Yeah,
another
so you're
planet or
getting
something.
tickets,
Uh-huh.
and then you meet at a spot, and everybody's dressed up crazy.
Uh-huh.
And then what happens is you get to go to other places that'll be hosting, but usually it's for like from this hour to this hour, you go to this spot, or this place will have drink specials if you have the wristband on, that kind of thing.
All right. So you're going for it.
I'm going for it again. So it's going to be hosted by the Ale House in Asbury. It's on the 16th, which is Saturday. Starts at 1 p.m.
I didn't even think about that. This Mike Gordon show is going to be like The Walking Dead. It's
Yeah.
gonna be...
And then I'll be heading over to the Mike Gordon show after bar hopping all day.
People are going to be all
so-
drunk and stoned.
Me.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I will
that's
be.
so scary.
The other
Leo's a
interesting
scary
thing I'll be
animal.
doing is really great comedian,
Uh-huh.
really nice guy.
Is he
Came by the show once.
library circuit?
He does do that.
Uh,
I'm gonna go check him out on Monday. He will be at
the
Brighton,
Brighton Bar, man.
Bar.
Yeah.
Where's the Brighton Bar?
It's on Long Branch.
It is on Brighton Avenue in Long Branch, west end of Long Branch,
Leo doesn't
right
know
between
Long
right between the beach and Monmouth University. So it's
So-
centrally located.
Do you get up and do some minutes, or you
Yeah,
just host?
I normally do about 10 minutes up front, get the room ready, and then I'll bring up as many comics. Usually about 20, 25 comics show up. So it's a long night.
Okay.
But it's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And on Mondays they do a drink special, a beer and a shot for $5, which you really can't beat.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun night.
Is there like a community as far as like the comedians in the area? Like when you go to this thing, it's just everybody kind of hanging out.
Yeah. It's pretty much like
Are people supportive, or are they just like, fuck you, man?
No, it depends.
Oh, really?
There's some people that are a little aggressive about the whole thing.
Wow.
But the one thing, like I think you guys know, just being in this world a little bit, if you're kind of like that loner, that lone wolf that doesn't get along with anybody, you're never gonna get booked on anything, right? Like if you're a jerk to everybody, you're never being on a podcast, you're never getting a call to be on a show. Like I don't think I'm the funniest, most talented guy out there, but like I got to do the show with Taylor because I listened to his podcast from episode 1, told him I was a fan, invited him to come on the podcast, turned into that live event we met each other at. And then that's it, kind of like the cliche, but networking is a big part of whatever you're doing, right?
Natural networking too is
if
the
you're
best.
right, exactly. So if you're gonna go to an open mic and ice grill everybody and then be mad they didn't laugh at you and storm out of the place every week, you're not gonna do that for too long before people just hate you and never want to have you back.
Although that would be a great bit if people did that, maybe some kind of performance where like you just were that dick for a while and then you came in and were just like, just kidding. I'm friendly.
No.
I can see you doing that.
I could, yeah, I might do that.
Be like, fuck you, fuck you. What do you find that like is it just me, or has like Monmouth University gotten more popular? Like there's more, has there always been this group of college kids, or
you know, man, I don't know. It seems, and this is a weird thing, see if you guys agree with me on this. The Monmouth University community is almost completely separate than the Asbury Long Branch. It's called the arts community. You know what I mean? Like there's nights that Brighton bar is packed out and Jack's right next door is the Monmouth bar. The kids hang out. And there's no go-between the two. It's like you're in this world, and we're not ever crossing over. I think Porta in Asbury is probably the one place where they all go and party. But that's like people like us don't really go there on the weekend. Like, I'm not going to have pizza during the day. It's too crazy, right?
Yeah, I've been there once. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because like I guess you'd think there'd be more crossover between the two communities, but I found there really isn't. It's pretty separate.
Yeah, what I found too, you know, from when I moved back and living in and around Asbury, is that there's certain people that are involved in what they're involved. They're passionate about their art, their community, their comedy, the music, whatever. And the people that are truly like passionate about the community part of it, they're super friendly and inclusive. But there are these separatists where they just don't even want other people involved.
What I find is this, man. I find people that don't do anything think they could do everything, right? So you have a person that's a 9 to 5 or going to school full time that your family's paying for them to go, and they're like, oh, you do a little podcast? That's cool. I could do a podcast.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't. You probably couldn't do a podcast. You know what I mean? Or like people are like, oh, I could get on SoundCloud and be a rapper. No, you couldn't. You know how hard that is? But I find that people that do things have a mutual level of respect for each other. They, even if they're doing different things, can have that conversation. Like at Brighton Bar, I guess their specialty, except for Monday, is heavy metal and punk rock, right? That's not my world at all. I respect anybody that does performance, play an instrument. I don't know their world at all, right? But I've met people through the Brighton Bar that play bass or play drums or play guitar, and we have that performing mutual respect conversation that's harder to have with a guy that has a 9 to 5 and doesn't know that world at all. And because I think part of it is the bass player in a metal band knows how hard it is to get out night after night and perform and pay to record demos out of your own pocket and hustle and try to get on shows or whatever the way I do. So we can, the way why we all hit off today is probably we're doing drastically different things, but we respect and can have the conversation. Whereas I just walked in this building and I was like, I'm a chiropractor, I don't do anything else. I occasionally watch Netflix and I really like Top 40 Radio. We wouldn't hit it off, right?
Yeah. No, I'd have tons of questions, but like, you know, probably nothing that would be very entertaining, you know?
Right, it's kind of what I found.
Do you have like a solid 30-minute like set worked out at this point?
Kind of. When I'm in Tom's River, I have a solid hour and a half to go into whenever I want.
You're the king of Tom's River.
Yeah. No, but I got probably a fairly strong 20 if I need it. I feel like I got a real strong 10. Depending on the crowd. Comedy's one thing where it's like if you're in a band or you rap or something, you have a set list and you can kind of go with it, right?
Yeah.
If I got a 7-minute bit about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian and I walk in and everybody's got gray hair, we got to change that, right? You're not going to get any of the references. So you got to I think you got to have, say, for example, like 30 minutes of good stuff and you can pull the best 10 out for the room you're in.
Yeah. Do you have... This is what happens to me with this podcast. I realize, you know, I'm doing this. I enjoy doing it. It's fun. Me and Leo are hanging out. We talk to people. I don't have any grandiose idea. I mean, it would be great if it gets popular and people love it in the Monmouth and Ocean County area. That's great. That's kind of what the show's about, basically. But do you find I have it where cousins or random family members will come up and be like, I should be on that. I'm like, well, what do you got to say? Like, do you have like people telling you like, I got some jokes for
Constantly. Don't put this in your act.
you?
And it's like, what? Like your son fell down a stair. Well, how could I? That's kind of funny if you see it in person. How would I even start to describe that on stage? You know what I mean? Do you guys find? And this is probably my least favorite thing about what guys like us do, right? That the people that know you the most sometimes support you the least.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
hell
Like
yeah.
how many people do you have cousins, aunts, uncles? Oh, I should listen to that. Well, we're 22 episodes in. You haven't pressed play once.
One time.
Yeah.
I went off on that. I think it was Friday night on my balcony. I just found myself at like 1 a.m. talking to a couple people, and I was just ripping into that exact point right there. Like,
oh, my wife does it. She listens to one, I think, out of 22. So I mean, you know, it was the kind of the thing before, like I was saying, like you have people showing up in the beginning and then not so much, and then
out.
you know, but yeah, that's and I don't fault anybody for it, because there's been nights and days where it's like somebody's doing something. Although I try to support my friends, I would say 92% of the time there are those 8% where I'm like, I gotta stay home. You know, I'm fucking tired.
Well, you know what, Stu? I think part of it is if you're 20 and you're DJing somewhere and all your friends can get in and have a great time, that's because they don't have responsibilities yet.
Yeah.
If you're 40 and DJing somewhere, this guy can't get a babysitter, this guy's out of town for work, this guy's wife is getting surgery the next day, just things are happening where they can't get out life happens as you get older.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm retired now, but when I was just like, these kids are getting younger, and I don't want to play their stupid music anymore. I want to play the music I like, but they don't want to hear it because I'm just some old guy. So like, I gotta just let somebody else.
You have an album coming out, so you should.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. Well, we'll talk about that. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna make it. My wife got mad at me because like I've made music before, and I've made albums before, and I haven't played them for my friend. I played it for my wife, and she's like, "This is good. Like, you should play it for people." I'm like, I just like making it. I don't know what to do with it after I make it. Like, here it is, guys. Like, you know, whatever. But we'll figure it out. You know, I'm gonna keep the two worlds, I think, separate as far as the podcast goes.
Well, we'll see.
Well, we'll see. Yeah,
We'll see.
We're building up a lot of buzz here on the podcast, so. You know.
We got to do a special episode where you're playing tracks from maybe in the background.
I can't sit here and listen to myself. I mean, I could sit here and listen to myself, but I can't sit here and be like, it's the worst. And somebody's like, play your CD right now. You're at a party and somebody's like, here, put it on. And everyone's standing there, has to listen to it. No, it's so uncomfortable.
You ever get someone just tell you, oh, you heard the song, and you're like, no, and then they play it in front of you, and like, you don't know what to do. Do I nod my head? Do I sway? What do I do? It's so awkward.
They're like
and that's when it's not
you.
me. It's just like another song. Couldn't you just like email me this? I could have played it in my car on the way home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People do that too. When you're DJing, they'll come up with their phone. Like, can you hook this in and just play it right now? Because it's what everybody wants to hear. I'm like, nobody wants to hear Eric Church right now. I'm sorry. Like, it's not happening.
I don't even know who that is.
It's Country Star.
Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to just see what your thoughts are from, you did a lot of things this weekend.
I did.
Well, one of the big things you did that we spoke about last week
What did I do?
was going to a play.
Oh,
and I wanted to hear what you thought about the play.
Nonsense.
In Ocean Grove, New Jersey.
The musical. My brother came down from Connecticut with his wife and their son, 13. Probably didn't enjoy it as much as I did, but I thought it was phenomenal. I didn't know they had such a giant stage in that building. I thought it was a great time. I thought the singing was impeccable. I'm really epic shouts to our beloved friend Heather, who like blew me away. I knew she did stuff. I've seen her perform, but she seemed to have taken it to that next level with her vocal stylings and her acting. I loved it. It was hilarious. It didn't drag. It just kept moving. What did you think?
I agreed. I thought the harmonies were great. The sound was great. I think the characters were perfectly cast. And it was just a really good time. I had a great time. And after I went and saw it on Friday, I went over to see DJ Mike Merrill, who also did a great show. Thank you to him for coming on last week. I think he may be coming up in a couple of weeks again. So I'm excited to see him again. But when we talk to people, this is why I'm excited about on Monday going to Angelo's show, because when you talk to people and we interview them, we don't really get to see them doing what is it they're really good at, right? But they're talking about what it is that they love to do, but we don't really get to see it. But when I see Mike Merrill just up there with the lights and he's just doing it, and I'm just like, there's moments where I'm just staring at him, like, look at him. He's like living his dream. Like he's doing it. He's there. He's in that moment, and he's killing it.
The thing that I like to see is when somebody's doing what they love, and then you see the other people appreciating it.
Yeah.
Like those really drunk girls, those 2 girls that were dropping it like it was hot.
Oh, I love
And
that.
It wasn't hot. It was lukewarm, but they were
were
dropping
doing
it.
Some weird choreographed things.
Oh,
and
man.
I was loving that.
And then
that was crazy.
I have video that I'm not allowed to release of
No.
Leo doing some epic dance
No.
moves. But I'm not allowed. He's like, you better not put that anywhere. I'm like, I want to put it
Gotta
everywhere.
save that for the Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go. That's how we monetize this shit.
Yeah.
You want to see Leo do some crazy dance moves? It's $5 a month.
Yeah. I gotta pay that extra fee.
So I thought it was great. I mean, I just love, that's what I love about this show. I love meeting people that are into doing something. If you're just sitting at home and you don't like to do anything, that's not as interesting as
No.
liking to come do crazy shit and putting yourself out there. You know, it takes a lot. There's a point. The difference between, say, Angelo and that chiropractor, which much respect to chiropractics if that's what you're doing, if that's what you're passionate about, but getting up in front of a crowd of people is not easy. Like there's people that can do it and there's people that can't. There's people that try to do it and they fail at it and they don't do it ever again. And then there's other people that fail and fail and fail and keep doing it. And those are the people I love. Rocky style.
I just think it's great having this platform where we get amazing people coming in, talking about what they do and their experiences in their lives. And then for me, being the man on the street.
Yeah.
Getting to go see it and experience, getting to actually have somebody talk about it and then I get to go see them do it each week is really, really been one of the best parts about doing this thing.
And the network, I mean, like we were saying before, epic shouts to Taylor and Steve because they did a show. We had him on. We promoted their Super Duper Bowl. Then we met you. Like it all kind of, it's all connected, man.
Yeah. And we're planning some big things in the future
popping.
too. We would definitely like to make you a part of in the future as well.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. I think that's the show. As always, thank you, Leo, for helping me navigate these waters. Thank you, A Shared Universe Podcast Studio. And as always, Ming. We'll be listening in or putting this one up a little late because the live stream wasn't working. Thank you, Angelo, for coming on here.
Very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys. Much appreciated.
Cool.